We're back with Grazel Garcia, and today we're talking about boundary violations. So we'll get straight into it, Grazel. What is a boundary violation?
A boundary violation is when one partner doesn't hear the boundary that's being set by the other partner. So, for example, let's say I told my partner, um, I feel hurt when I hear you call me names.
Hmm.
Please do not speak with to me in that way. And the other partner receiving that boundary crosses that, meaning, okay, I don't give a shit about it. I don't care. Um, I'm still gonna call you names, then you know that it's not a safe relationship. That part, name calling, if it involves name calling, that's not just emotional boundary crossing. You're crossing probably verbal abuse
Mm.
if there's a pattern. When it comes to small kind of chore household responsibility boundaries, um, I think that can get a little tricky with couples because sometimes partners in a relationship don't sit down and talk about the chores together. One partner can just take on chores and feel resentful about all of the things that they're doing when they really haven't talked about it.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of the household chores at home can be shared. One partner doesn't have to take it all. So if there's no boundaries set about sharing those responsibilities, it can feel like there's boundaries crossed, but if you haven't really communicated about it, it's not crossing a boundary. You have to first start sitting down and sharing with each other. Here are the tasks that I feel really good about working on, and I am willing to take it on. And I wonder what you would like to take on. And then once they've negotiated that and agreed upon it, then they can create agreements. And if those agreements have boundaries attached to them,
Hmm.
then okay, let's talk about the boundaries that are crossed. This is what we talked about. It's a lot clearer when there's communication.
Yeah, and I guess the key as well is respectful communication. Going back to the first example with name calling, it might be one person grew up using calling everyone this particular name, and it's actually become an affectionate term in their mind, and it's just part of their vocabulary, and they don't mean anything when they say it, and it's a
Yeah.
difficult habit to kick. But if they, when confronted with that boundary of please don't call me that, if they continue to and don't kind of say, oh, I'm sorry, I know you don't like me saying that, I'll try and stop, that's a different kettle of fish, isn't it? If there's that kind of personal accountability of, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to say that, that's different.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. It is part of my culture to share that. And sometimes it's so reflexive for me, I don't even think about breaking your boundary. So, a lot more content
Mm.
about what you're saying sorry about when you break someone's boundary is more important than actually just saying sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about, you mentioned how you can kind of unknowingly cross someone's boundary because they haven't communicated it. Are there any other instances where you could accidentally cross someone's boundary?
Yes, I think a lot for some people with executive functioning challenges, sometimes it takes several times where one partner needs to repeat their boundaries before it kind of sinks in. And then sometimes, memory lapses and memory difficulties can affect that because it can feel if one partner does says yes, I will respect your boundary, and then does it again accidentally, unknowingly. And then the other partner that set the boundary says, well, I've already said this to you. How come you don't remember? I think there's a nuance where, okay, sometimes brain differences play into these dynamics where one partner may not have a sharp memory, or one partner may be feeling really stressed, and they couldn't really take in what you were saying, Or sometimes they hear it once and their brain forgets. It's not intentional, but it can feel personal.
Yeah. And those are really difficult situations to navigate your way around when, let's say, over the last 6 months you said 5 times, can you not do this thing, or can you please remember to take the trash out, or whatever, and they're just not getting it, and it's on the other person's side, it's not a personal thing, they're not intentionally forgetting or anything. um
Yes.
how do you solve that problem? Because this is one of those things that is, it's just going to be there because one side is kind of incapable of doing what the other side is asking of them.
Right. I think it's really important that, each partner brings in more process into their communication, like saying, um, I don't intentionally do this to you, but if it stops there, then there's no dialogue about why it's not happening. It is important to have a dialogue about each of the partner's brain wirings and how they process information.
Hmm.
So that's usually what I guide couples to do is like, tell me more about how your brain works. When somebody tells you something once, does your brain remember it? Or does it takes a little longer for you to do that?
Mm.
And how do you explain yourself when you forget again? Do you actually give more information to your partner saying, hey, it's not my intention to do this? I don't have a very sharp memory. So even when you've said it 5 times, I may still forget. And that's not an excuse. I have to set reminders for myself so I don't keep disappointing you. That's a better and more effective way of communicating than just stopping at, I'm sorry, this is not intentional.
Yeah, yeah.
You know that that's going to be a fight,
Yes.
right?
You can hear it straight away. Yeah.
You can hear it straight away. But when you hear me talk about the process
Mm.
and giving more information about how you're processing information, how your brain works, then the other partner is, oh, thank you so much for that information. I didn't know that your brain works like that. Because for me, my brain, like if I hear one thing, I process it and I remember it, and I don't have to have reminders. So the other partner can even take accountability and say, I'm sorry that, I keep blaming you for it. I didn't know that your brain works that way. So
Mm.
there's more repair.
Yeah, yeah. So that's all sort of on the side of the person violating the boundary, but what about the person asserting the boundary? I can imagine situations where, because of childhood trauma or family dynamics growing up, it's very difficult to even assert a boundary. So, how can that person make their
Hmm.
needs kind of clear enough?
Yeah, you said the word, assert. Being assertive is the key factor to effective communication. When we're creating boundaries, it's a boundary for ourselves. It's not really a boundary for the other person. It's like, hey, I have a boundary, and it's really important for me that you hear my needs, right?
Mhm.
But being assertive means you use I statements, you use a feeling word, you respect your partner's experience, and then you ask for what you need. But if you don't do all four, but you're just pointing at your partner, that's not really asserting. That's not assertive. That could be blaming, pointing, naming what's not happening. And it can sound critical. So the person that's setting a boundary needs to be able to know how to be assertive.
Mhm.
In order for that boundary and need to land to the receiver in a welcoming way, clear way, and perhaps it can be met.
That was actually a really useful kind of four-part summary there. Could you just go over that one more time?
Yeah, the person that's asserting a boundary needs to be able to actually say, use I statements, lead, follow with the feeling, respect the other person's experience, and then identify a need.
So would that be
So
something?
that would sound like this. When when I speak about how important it is for me to have the trash taken out every week,
Mhm.
and you forget, I start to think that I'm not being heard, and I start to feel anxious. I start to feel hurt, but I know that maybe you're not doing that on purpose because I know you love me, but I need this to be done. Can we work on something together?
Mm.
Can you help me help you, and vice versa? You see that I'm kind of naming the situation, but I'm not blaming, I'm not criticizing. I'm just naming the situation that brought up disconnection as a way to guide the conversation, not to blame, not to criticize.
Yeah, and in what you just said, you can really feel that whole EFT approach of like breaking the cycle and positioning everything so that it's the couple against the cycle rather than the couples against each other. Um,
Yes.
yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. That's a really good thing to end on. So,
Oh, great. I'm glad. Thanks, Scott.
yeah, see you.